Hello and welcome back to another video. It's the third week of the Owl's Magical Readathon. I'm not sure how many more books I've got to read. It's also the first week of, well, the only week of the reading rush. So hopefully I'll get a lot of reading done this week. The first book that I want to finish before the reading rush begins is The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. This book is 450 pages long, so it'll probably take me until the reading rush. And from what I can gather, it is about a port town in Japan after it's closed its borders, and it's the only port town where anyone who isn't Japanese are allowed to go in Japan. And it's about a young Dutch clerk called Jacob de Zoet who has to stay there for a year to, not an internship, but to become part of the shipping company he's working for. This book so far has had, it started in the house of Kawasami, the concubine above Nagasaki, and then it jumped to Jacob de Zoet, so I assume that first chapter is going to mean something later on. The first chapter had a very graphic description of what giving birth, and especially giving a birth that goes wrong, was like in this period. This is set, I'm not sure when it's set, the 1800s, I think. It doesn't say. Oh, 1799. So yeah, it's set in the 18th and 19th centuries. So far I'm enjoying it. I'm going to read some more of this today. I'll let you know what I think. Then for the reading rush, I'm going to do my TBR now. I have 4 books for the 4 prompts. The first one is Read a Book with a House on the Cover. For that I'm going to be reading Wakenhyrst by Michelle Paver. This has a house there. This is a gothic thriller, I think, that spans 5 centuries. It begins in Edwardian Britain, but goes backwards and forwards in time. It involves witches, mythology, demons, all of those sorts of things, and I cannot wait to read it. It is an absolutely stunning cover. And yeah, it looks really good, and I think I'm going to fly through this. I think it'll be really entertaining, so that's first book on my list. I then have, for Read a Book Set Somewhere You Want to Go, The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This is the sequel to Truly Devious, which I didn't love, but the place it's set, Ellingham Academy, would honestly be a dream to go to. So yeah, this is the next book on my TBR. These are murder mysteries. The first one was about a girl called Stevie who goes to Ellingham Academy to try and discover what happened there 100 years ago, roughly, in the 1920s, when it was first created and there was a murder. Nothing was left behind apart from a riddle which ended in Truly Devious. And Stevie is a sort of true crime nut and is determined to solve it. So she starts trying to do that when Truly Devious strikes again and there's another murder. The next book on my TBR is for Read a Book Entirely in One Room. I've chosen A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. This is also for Potions for Owls, read a book under 150 pages. And I think this is a feminist critical essay about women's position in society. So really looking forward to that. I really like Virginia Woolf's writing. I know she's not for everyone. I've read Orlando, The Waves and Mrs. Dalloway and loved all of them. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. It is very short. And then finally, for Read a Book That Makes You Happy, I've chosen Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco. This is also for my Care of Magical Creatures owl. Read a book with an animal with a beak on the cover. So this has a bird on the sea. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is, the reason I've chosen this for Read a Book That Makes You Feel Happy is because I got this in a fairy loot box and it's actually an advanced reader copy and I've never had one of those before. And the fact that I have one, even if I did get it for a fairy loot box, just, I don't know why that makes me so happy. It's just, I've always sort of, it's always been really cool when I've seen people have ARGs, and now I have one, even if this book has now come out. And yeah, I'm just so happy about that. So that is my reasoning behind this. This came out in March. It is an urban fantasy about the Firebird, and it also has, well, it begins set in Avalon, which is obviously has links to King Arthur. I think. Yeah, Avalon has links to King Arthur, but it also on the back mentions Snow White. The Snow Queen. I think it's going to have so many different fairy tale influences in it, and I'm so excited to read that. Hello, so I've read a bit more of The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Is it Dessert or Zoet? Anyway, I'm going to give you a really brief update. I am on page 44, so this will not be a very accurate synopsis. But so far, what I can gather, this book is essentially from the perspective of the trading company in Japan. As I've said, the clerk, Jacob, who is sort of on the bottom ladder of the rung. And it is looking at the, I guess the sort of intercompany politics as well as the larger politics. So for example, the people who rule Nagasaki, the governors, all of those sort of people are involved. Jacob also has with him a psalter, which is illegal because Christianity is prohibited. So he's hiding that. He is not very happy to be in Japan. He really misses his sister and his lover, I think, Anna. There is something going on there. Yeah, I haven't actually, well, I assume the plot has started, I just haven't noticed it. It's one of those books that I think is going to go very slowly and sort of things will grow and you'll suddenly realise what's been going on, which is the sort I love. Also, I don't know if I said, I'm reading this for Charms, which is read a book with a white cover. Hello, so I thought I'd give you a little update. Are you going to go for a meander or are you just going to dig all your claws into me? I thought I'd give you a little update. It's now Tuesday. Time has lost all meaning. It's now Tuesday and I have read a bit more of The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. I'm currently on page 106. And I'm enjoying it quite a lot. It's interesting. There hasn't really been that much of a plot, but yeah, this is enjoyable so far. This is Madrigal, by the way, being adorable as always. I love him very much. Hello, so I'll sit down. Hello, so I am currently doing some planning in my new bullet journal, which this is from Scribble and Dot. It's stunning. It's got a dachshund on the front cover. I think they're called dachshunds, you know, a sausage dog. While I plan, I'm going to watch Cody's last week's video, which I got halfway through and then didn't finish. I've been planning in another notebook. The reason I'm not planning in my old bullet journal is because I have one double page spread left and that is for next week, which is the last week of April. This is my final 2 pages. Yeah, I really like doing bullet journaling. It's a really fun project. I enjoy it a lot. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I've done in my new bullet journal. This is my old bullet journal. It's kind of messy there. At some point I am going to do a flip through of my whole thing. My theme this month is Hadestown. As you can see, there's quite a lot of empty days, but this is my new bullet journal. I've kept the theme at the beginning very similar to my last theme, which was kind of, I guess, like gold, black, white, all of those things. So I'm going to show it to you now. So I've got this grid spacing thing, which isn't very neat, and I don't know how useful it'll be, I'll see. Then I've got this, which says, trust in the magic of new starts. I saw one that said trust in the magic of new beginnings, but I couldn't actually fit the beginnings here and I was really struggling with the lettering, so I sort of redid it. Then I have my mid-year goals and my mid-year bucket list. This is from Amanda Rach Lee's 2019 mid-year bullet journal. I sort of imitated that. And then things to check out. I've got some books that I'd like to check out before the end of the year, and some films and TV shows, and some podcasts, and then songs that I need to fill in. And then this is going to become filled with books. Like, I'll show you it in my old bullet journal. This is it in my old bullet journal for January to March. I'm going to do something similar, but there will be more space, which will be great. And then we've got my May to December at a glance. So not much. My one thing is, I feel like this does bleed through quite a lot. There is some bleed through of the trust in, though I did write that in permanent marker, stupidly. Yeah, I just feel like this paper isn't quite as good as some of my other paper, but I still really like it. It's nice and smooth. Please let me know if you can think of anything, either for my mid-year bucket list or for my things to check out. If there's any films, books, podcasts or songs that you love and you'd love me to check out, please let me know. I listen to far too many musicals, so the songs one is probably going to be really empty for a while. I might transfer over a few books from last year's things to check out. I haven't done. In this bullet journal I have 2020 and Polaroids, but I'm just going to keep sticking them into this one. That's coming undone. I need to sort that out. I go with the colours that I'm using that month. Here we go. I might transfer some of these over because I haven't finished listening to all of these. I've got one song and 2 films and TV shows. I thought I'd give you an update. I'm now on page 173. It keeps making that quite disturbing cracking noise, and I'm a bit worried I'm breaking the spine of it. This is really interesting, actually. It's got a lot about the politics of Dutch companies in Japan. The dog started barking. It's got a lot about that. It's also quite interesting because most of the characters have incredibly flexible morals. Jacob de Zoet is one of the few who actually has moderately steadfast morals. Unfortunately, at the bit I'm up to, I've just hit part 2. He is in a bit of a pickle. So yeah, it's quite interesting to read. I don't think I'm going to finish it before the reading rush begins, as I'm reading it quite slowly. I thought I'd give you a speedy update. I haven't read any more of Cloud Atlas, so it's not much of an update. Still on page 173. I will read more today. I just need to sit down and do it. I'm still really enjoying it. I don't know why I'm not reading it. I don't know what about me at the moment is kind of not wanting to read it, because some scenes are really good and like objectively I can tell they're so well written. Like there was a scene that was so cinematic, and I'm going to lower this because it's really annoying me. Oh yeah, that's kind of better. So yeah, some scenes are so cinematic and so well written, but some bits are kind of, one part of me is finding them really boring. Like there's a lot of talk with the other sailors that one part of me is a bit like, oh, just get it over with already. Also, the blurb said something about murder, and there hasn't been the murder yet, so I'm wondering when that will happen. Hello, I've finally read some more. Just grab my book. I've read some more of The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. I'm now on page 221. This has suddenly got very sinister and quite dark. I'm really enjoying it. I'm in part 2. We're following different characters, or we've got a different character's perspective. She was in part 1, but now we're getting it through her eyes. We're also having stuff about a cult, which I was not expecting. There are, however, also, unfortunately, now that I've got up to this point, trigger warnings for rape, forced pregnancy, drug abuse, abduction. It's quite dark, it's very sinister. I really like the way David Mitchell is writing this. It reminds me a bit of The Handmaid's Tale in a sense, which I really like. I know a lot of people would have different opinions, but I really like that. I'm not sure, I'm not going to get this done before the reading rush, so I think my plan is going to be to continue trying to read a little bit of it each day during the reading rush while I read my other 4 books. So yeah, I need to do some studying today. I have an essay due in on Tuesday. Well, not an essay, it's an 800 word reflection piece. And I have a day of lectures on Saturday, so I might not get too much reading done then. So I'm trying to sort of get work and stuff caught up, and then I can have most of the reading rush work free. Hello, the lighting is horrific. Oh my god. Is that slightly better? No, it's still terrible. Damn it. Oh well, the reading rush has now begun. I'm just gonna hold my hand like this so you can see me. The reading rush has now begun. I'm going to start the Vanishing Stair very soon. I'm going to go quickly have a shower first, but then I'm going to start it, get a few chapters read, then go to bed. I have a really bad headache, so I won't read much tonight, but I kind of wanted to wait until midnight until it started just to see, like, you know, just to get in the mood. Oh my god, this light. So yeah, the Vanishing Stair is gonna be my first read, mainly because I just want to go back to this world. Hello, it's now actually the first day of the reading rush, as apart from being literally midnight. I've read a bit of The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. I've got my tea here. This is black tea infused with various herbs and spices. I'm on page 130 of The Vanishing Stair, and I am enjoying it a lot. I'm not enjoying the flashbacks as much as I enjoyed the flashbacks in the first one, Truly Devious. I'm not enjoying the perspective we're getting in those. However, I'm loving Stevie's role in it at the moment, and I'm enjoying Stevie's descriptions of stuff more. I am going to try and finish this today fairly quickly. I am flying for it. It's really easy to read. However, I do also need to do some studying, of course. Even though I started the reflection that's due in last night, I started planning it. I need to write it, and I need to finish a chapter of work. I need to make my bed, I need to do some cleaning, I need to finish editing a video and upload it. Yeah, and then hopefully I can read. Hello, I'm back after a morning of trying to work and things crashing, and therefore me not getting stuff done and clips not loading. It's going really well. I have read a bit more of The Vanishing Stair though while I was waiting for internet to come back. I'm now on page 215. Still really enjoying this. I definitely think I'll finish it tonight or today. I do have to say that David is really annoying me. If you've read this series, you'll know who David is. There's something about him I just don't like. Stevie kind of annoys me as well. Like, I enjoy being in her head, but also I kind of want to be in Janelle's head. Hello. You're a bit wobbly. There we go. Hello, I've read some more of The Vanishing Stair. I'm now on page 309. So I've only got 70 pages or so left. There's 72 pages in this. So even less, I've only got 60 pages to go. I am really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it far more than book 1, which I gave 3 stars to. I think this one's probably going to be 4 stars. Unless it ends on another cliffhanger like book 1, because I hated that cliffhanger with a burning passion. But the thing about it that I'm just enjoying, I do feel like it's a bit of a filler book and none of the mystery has been solved. Or a bit of the mystery has been solved, but I kind of just want the big mysteries to be solved. But I am really enjoying it, and I will definitely be reading The Hand on the Wall. So yeah, pretty happy with this. I wish we were seeing more of the other characters, and I feel like there's been some characters introduced who are rather unimportant, but still. I finished the first book of the reading rush. I finished The Vanishing Stair. I enjoyed this far more than book 1, Truly Devious, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. Some things were actually solved in this book, which I really liked, and while there is a bigger mystery, I am fairly content with the way that this one ended. Hello, it's Friday, and time for an update. I have started Wakenhyrst by Michelle Paver. I'm 89 pages in, and something about it I just don't like. I think it's the writing style. It just feels very simplistic and quite clunky, and I really just don't like that. I don't know if I can explain it. There's just something about it I really don't like, but I'm enjoying the story, so I'm going to try and read a bit more before I DNF it. I don't think I will DNF it. I think I'll try and push through it and just get to the end, because the story is really intriguing me. Well, the story should be intriguing me, but it's just something's putting me off it. If I DNF it, I'm going to try and finish the Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet before the end of the reading rush, because this has houses on the front cover, sort of, and I'm going to count those as house on the cover, which I'm reading this for. Hello, it's me. I have online classes all day today, so I'm by my desk getting it all set up. I thought I'd give you a quick update on Wakenhyrst. I'm now on page 204. Still not loving this for some reason. The premise really intrigued me, but something about the book just isn't doing it for me. I feel like I could DNF this really easily and not really care. I feel like the pacing is off. The mystery seems to be so slow, especially since I know what happens at the end of it, and yeah, it's just not what I was hoping for. So yeah. Hello, so it's Saturday evening and I'm going to do a brief update. I have under 100 pages of Wakenhyrst. I'm going to finish it now. This might be my first book below 3 stars this year. I am just not enjoying it at all. The problem is, while this book has everything that I love, for example, it's got a really creepy house, it's got a female protagonist, it's got loads of like hints of the Gothic style, which is my favourite sort of style to read about, it's just not interesting me at all. It's so like, every single twist I've seen coming so far, it has been so dull. The writing itself, just there never seems to be a middle or an end or a beginning. It just seems to be this like long trudge through this man's madness. The blurb and the actual book seem to bear no resemblance to each other. The blurb made this sound utterly fascinating and I thought it was going to be really interesting, but I've just been bored the whole time, which I hate. I say I've been bored. There was a period at the beginning and a period in the middle where I wasn't, but the rest of the time I just feel like I'm dragging through this book and I just want it to end. I'm trying to make this book spookier by having the Malfoy Manor ASMR thing in the background. I might also turn all the lights off and light some candles. I finished it. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. My feelings haven't changed too much. I'm just very disappointed because this book had everything I love. So I love books with reference to folklore and Anglo-Saxon and medieval history, but yeah, this was just so boring. At least most of it was, and I felt like it was so drawn out. I felt like the way it was written was very linear and it could have been so much more interesting had the story maybe been told in a slightly different way, if there'd been more question throughout it of if there was a ghost or if there was a creature, and if we hadn't found out what had happened right at the very beginning. I literally could have put this down at any point in the book and not thought of it again. Hi there, it's the evening, quite late, it's like nearly 11 o'clock, and I just downloaded the audiobook of A Room of One's Own, and I'm going to start listening to it while I continue to work on my new bullet journal. Hello, update time. It's sometime after 1 AM. I may have got a bit carried away. I haven't finished A Room of One's Own. I've been listening to it for 2 hours 20 minutes now. I love this so much. I love Virginia Woolf's writing. I really love the rhythm of it. I know that sounds really strange, but her writing has an almost sort of lyrical feel that I really enjoy reading, or listening to in this case. And the audiobook is narrated by Natalie Dormer, and she's really sort of got the lilting feel of Virginia Woolf's writing down, which I love. It's really calming to listen to as well. Also, some of the lines in this are so sarcastic and angry, I cannot help but love them. A brief description of A Room of One's Own. She sits down and she sets out to write about women in fiction. However, and she begins by sort of zooming in on Oxbridge in particular and then zooms out. She goes to the British Museum. She ends up essentially looking at society in general and women's place in society, and specifically how women's place in society impacts women's position in fiction. So it's really good. She says at the beginning that in order to write fiction, a woman must have money and a room to write in. And then she goes on to sort of prove this argument. I'm going to go to bed now. I was going to show you what I've done in my bullet journal. So I've got this spread on lockdown so far. And then this quote from The Thousand Doors of January, which I really loved. Then I've got a list for Norwegian of all the things I need to do, and a sort of basic routine I'd quite like to follow, along with, of course, a Virginia Woolf quote from The Waves, which is one of my favourite books by her. So yeah, I think my favourite page is definitely this one. This is the one I spent the longest doing. Hello, it is now 10 to 11 on Saturday morning. I've just finished A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it. I loved the way that it sort of zoomed in and out on different sections of women in fiction. So it starts in Oxbridge, but then it goes to the British Museum, and then she begins to look at her own shelves and begins to go through different periods of literature. So she starts with Shakespeare and pretends Shakespeare had a sister, etc. And it goes on, and it's very short. I really enjoyed it. I really loved the audiobook as well. So yeah, I'm going to go now and have some breakfast. And then, of course, I'm going to start Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco. I'm so excited to read this. I think it's going to be amazing. And yeah, very happy. Hello, time for an update on Wicked As You Wish. I've read 48 pages of this so far and I'm really enjoying it. I love the alternative history element. This is about the family who are protecting the King of Avalon. Avalon has been destroyed and he is living in Arizona in the kingdom or the royal states of America, as America is ruled by a king in this book. It's really good. I really enjoy the alternative history and the sort of world and how complex it is. It is meaning that I'm reading it a little bit slower at first than I normally would, but I think once I get a bit further in, I'm going to really fly through this. So very much enjoying this. I don't really have much else to say about it. I am only 50 pages in. Hello, it's Sunday evening and I thought I'd give you a speedy update on Wicked As You Wish. I'm now 177 pages into this, so I've got around 200 pages to go and I'll be done. I'm enjoying it. I feel like a lot of the stuff has happened very quickly suddenly. Like, there's been a lot of revelations and it's enjoyable, but I feel like it's a bit fast, and I still haven't quite got my head round certain elements of the world, and then suddenly all these events happened and I was a bit like, what's going on? However, I do really like I do really like the world. I like how complex the world is and how intricate it is and how much thought has gone into the history of it. Ow, that really hurt. And I'm looking forward to finishing it. Also, this book is making me laugh so much, which is always a positive in a book. Hello, so it's the end of the vlog. It's Monday morning and I thought I'd give you my final wrap up. So Monday to Wednesday of this week, I did manage to get quite a lot of The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet read. I am now on page 224 of 400, so I'm over the halfway mark, thankfully. I'm going to be continuing to read this next week and we'll talk more about it in my videos then. All I'm going to say now is that I'm enjoying it. I didn't enjoy the first part much or as much, but the second part has really sort of picked it up for me. Then we had the reading rush. Just gonna pick these all up. So the first thing I read for the reading rush was The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This was the sequel to Truly Devious and continued the mystery element. I enjoyed this more than Truly Devious. I felt like it wrapped up some of the mysteries better, and also I enjoyed the fact that the cliffhanger it ended on made much more sense than the cliffhanger Truly Devious ended on, or I felt like it did. So really enjoyed it, looking forward to reading The Hand on the Wall. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I then read a book I did not enjoy, and that was Wakenhyrst by Michelle Paver. I ended up giving this 2.5 out of 5 stars. My main issues with this book were the pacing and the way that certain bits felt very dragged out and then certain bits felt very rushed, and I would have enjoyed it far more if the gothic elements had sort of been worked into the story from the beginning, which brings me to my second point. I felt like the atmosphere of this wasn't the sort of frenzied rush into madness and the underlying eeriness of gothic literature and gothic film that I love. The atmosphere just wasn't there to make this a compelling gothic novel. And then finally, the characters, I didn't care about any of them, and by the end I was almost glad that the murder happened, because I was so sick of just reading about them and I just wanted it to be over. Also, because I didn't care about any of the characters, the final few lines of this book had no impact on me, and I did not care at all about it happening. So yeah, wasn't really a fan of this. I felt like it could have been a lot better if we hadn't found out the mystery right at the very beginning of the book, if the if the sort of, can't remember what it's called now, the way the story had been told had been better. So this was told in one long continuous flashback. I feel like it would have been a lot better if it had split it up between the past and the present, and if the atmosphere had been there from the very beginning and would had these sort of sense of unease and growing sense of madness really grow throughout the book and then reach fever pitch. Oh well, you live and you learn. I guess Michelle Paver's writing just is not for me. I then read A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I listened to the audiobook. I absolutely loved it. This is about women in fiction, and yeah, it was amazing. And then finally I read Wicked As You Wish. I finished this last night at around 11:30. This was really enjoyable. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. The reason I didn't give it higher was because I felt like, again, the pacing was a bit off. The ending felt a bit rushed, and the middle just felt like it was one big event after another, and I would have preferred maybe a bit more world building scattered into the middle, because we got a lot of world building at the beginning and then in the middle sort of it petered out a bit. However, I loved the characters so much. I loved the banter between them, and I loved the intricacies of the world, so I will definitely be continuing on with the series. So that's my reading wrap up for this week. I feel like I should say that the books that I didn't love as much this week, those are just my personal opinions. If you love them, please don't get offended. I just didn't. Yeah, but I can understand why you might love them, and I hope you did love them if you read them and didn't have to sort of slog through them like I did. So this was my wrap up. I'm very happy with it. Obviously bringing one of these over into next week, but still I've got 2 books ticked off my Owls TBR. A Room of One's Own was for potions, read a book under 150 pages, and Wicked As You Wish was for Care of Magical Creatures, read a book with a bird on the cover. I've realised there's a bird on the spine as well, so I'm going to show you the bird on the spine. I'm going to go now. I hope you had a really excellent week. I hope that next week treats you well, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!